Hey, everybody, and welcome to True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. This is Katie Weaver, and I am here with my partner in crime, co host, and sister Christy Brower. Good morning.
Good morning, or evening, or afternoon, wherever you guys are.
True.
It's morning to us.
It is. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. I've just been enjoying winter and Christmassy stuff, and we have tons of snow, and I'm just trying
Yeah.
to let myself enjoy the holiday.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen. Yeah, we've got a bunch of snow. It is gorgeous. It definitely looks like Christmas outside.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
It makes me want to load up in the car, go get hot chocolates, and drive all over town looking at the lights, you
I know.
know?
I was thinking about that last night. Like, oh, it's time to go do that.
That was such a
Not that I
tradition that
haven't
we
yet,
started.
but I'm sure other very
I
ambitious people do.
I don't either. But I'm seeing some of my neighbors are pretty out there. They're doing a good job. We when we were kids, that was a real tradition in our family. You went to our dad would do this a few times a season because he loved it, you know. We'd go to Maverick and get hot chocolate and then drive all over town looking at all of the lights and just hoping that by the time you're done, your hot chocolate would cool down enough you could drink it. But
Right, right.
yeah. Yep, I think maybe
Yeah,
I'll try to
exactly.
initiate that tonight. We'll see.
I think that sounds like a good plan.
Now, I am hearing a little bit of dogs sassing each other, so I'm gonna tell you guys about it in case you're hearing it too.
Good
Uh,
idea.
they're not in my office, but the grandpuppy is super wound up in the mornings, and she's trying to force the other chihuahuas to play with her, and, I can hear them out there, having it out. So, anyhow, if you
Mhm.
hear some sassing going on, it's definitely coming from my house.
It is.
Yeah.
Although you could very easily hear some from mine as well, but they haven't had their coffee yet. Let me just put it that way. My dogs are still a little lazy this morning.
Oh, no. No, mine hit the ground running. At least the teeny one did. Well, our case today is a cold read. So I'm presenting it to Christy, who will read the case and, get a read on what happened to this person. So I
I,
really love this case.
I gotta say that the picture you sent me is so weird because it looks like someone that we knew when we were kids in a weird way. Not exactly, but
Hmm.
it kind of looks like a woman that we knew
I
as
know.
children, like different hair color, but other than that, there's like facial structure and stuff. She looks a lot the same. I was like, took me a minute, like that's not her, right? No,
I
it's
know. Weird. Doppelgangers. Yep.
yeah.
Well, I really loved this case, or wanted to put, I don't know if I loved this case. I wanted to put light on this case because we are talking about an animal activist. And
Yeah.
I know that many of you, like us, are very into, animals and some activism yourselves. And so it's an important
Yeah.
case. We're talking about the murder of Jane Tipson. Jane Tipson was shot and killed on St. Lucia in 2003.
Okay.
So she was originally from the UK, but she'd lived in St. Lucia for about 30 years. She lived there with her sister, and I just love their story. Well, until she got murdered, they owned a restaurant. They were activists. She was very active in the conservation and activist community there on St. Lucia, and that was, they lived together. They had a great life, and she'd done a lot of things. She was the founder of several wildlife animal organizations, and one of them was
Mm.
the St. Lucia Animal Protection Society, which, the acronym was SLAPS. And SLAPS cared for and protected stray dogs and cats on St. Lucia, and she was really well known for being down on the beaches, coaxing stray dogs and cats into cages and crates to be able to get them safe and into better situations. But she also had was spearheading the St. Lucia Whale and Dolphin Watching Association and was trying really hard to bring more tourism to the island for whale watching and dolphin watching in the ocean.
Yeah.
She was very outspoken against captivity for whales and dolphins.
Mm,
And she
mhm.
had campaigns she had been leading against an organization that was constructing a new dolphin park at St. Lucia called Dolphin Fantasies. And she'd had some, she had been actively working against them and
Mm.
trying to convince the greater community that, we don't want this here. People can come and, get on boats. They can come and stand on harbors. They can come and see the animals in their natural habitat. We don't need to be capturing them.
Right,
So,
right, yeah, that we can just
yeah,
visit them. We don't have to own them.
yeah. So, kind of an interesting twist of events, the way this all took place. So, on September 15th, her restaurant was burglarized, or she and her sister's restaurant. And the people who burglarized it came away with about $2,000 in cash and cigarettes. And so that was on September 15th. On September 17th, she had been down on the beach catching cats and dogs. And she and her sister were both headed back to the house, but they were in separate cars. And when her sister pulled into the driveway, she heard a loud bang and thought that Jane maybe had blown a tire. So she pulled back down out of the driveway and headed down to find her. And what she found was Jane slumped over the steering wheel with a gunshot wound to the back of the neck, and she was dead.
Oh, wow. I wanna say right here that the burglary at her restaurant was a setup. It was meant to, uh, intimidate her. I feel like it was an intimidation tactic. It was a stop meddling with this stuff, stop getting in the way of business and money making in our community. We're gonna show you that we can hurt you.
Mhm. Okay. After the day she was killed, the police apprehended the two people that broke into the restaurant. It was a 17-year-old and a 19-year-old boy. Those boys sat in jail for 2 days before one of their mothers bailed them out. The day they were bailed out, the 17-year-old was shot and killed. But when he was killed, when he was shot, he was able to tell someone who shot him before he died. And the person that shot him was a gangster. There's a lot of gang issues on St. Lucia, apparently.
Mm.
Apparently they're struggling a lot with gang stuff, and they were especially back in the 2000s. And so, at any rate, this boy was shot and killed by someone who seemed to perhaps be in a rival gang. But
Yeah,
it
it
is
was
definitely,
unrelated.
yeah,
I feel like it's unrelated to her. It didn't have anything to do with the theft. It didn't have anything to do with her murder, that this was a separate thing, even though, he had some involvement with her, but I don't feel like it was about her.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Okay, so the police were called immediately, of course, and they came and they ruled the death to be targeted because of the way it happened. That the
Mhm.
killer came, they did their job, they left, nothing was stolen, nothing was out of place, and it was a very accurate shot. A one shot kill. Yuck. And, they felt like, yeah, that it was somebody targeted her. The police did practically nothing, unfortunately. There were no arrests made. The police were accused of contaminating the crime scene. Uh, they did very little at the time. They revisited the case very briefly a year later. Barbara, her sister, pushed and pushed for, an actual investigation, and she just didn't get
Of
much.
course. Mhm.
It bears to note that there is a lot of corruption on St. Lucia. There is a lot of police. The police there have been accused many times of being corrupt. There's a lot of gang activities. There's a lot of issues.
Yeah.
But her
This
death
was
wasn't treated like there was any kind of priority for it at all.
No, this was a hit, and this was a hit with, the blessing, I guess I would say, of city, local council officials, whatever they call it there. I don't know anything about St. Lucia, but,
Mm.
um, I do feel that she was seen as a real problem and a hindrance to financial growth in their community by, getting in the way of the dolphin thing, and just in general, causing consternation. And when it came down to getting in the way of a huge financial deal for the area, she was killed. She was killed
Mhm.
intentionally. My immediate hit on this was that it was someone on a motorcycle, and not like the dressed in black, black helmet, blah, blah, blah kind of thing, but somebody that just looked like a local
Mhm.
that followed her until they were the only ones on the road and came up behind her and shot her.
Mhm.
I feel like she didn't know who killed her, that she never actually saw them. But I do feel like that there are many people, like city officials and stuff like that in the community, that actually do know,
Mhm.
and that the police investigation was quashed. I feel like there's a huge amount of involvement with a large number of people who know exactly what happened to her,
Yeah.
who are not speaking because they just put the value of her as a human being to be less than the money they could make.
Yes.
Which I think is really sad, but I think
Yeah.
that's just an honest assessment of it, is that she was in the way, and the
Yeah.
work that she was trying to do to protect the animals in her area, literally got her killed, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah. It is just really, really too bad. But so one of the things that happened is that the Sea Shepherd organization got involved. She was their eyes and ears on the ground
Mhm.
with this whole dolphin fantasies thing.
Okay.
And you guys, if you remember who the Sea Shepherd organization, they are the ones who have boats out trying to prevent illegal whaling and the capture of dolphins. And, they have been known to board vessels and to,
And,
have
like,
violence. And
legitimately interfere and fight with, and yeah,
yes.
it's been
Mhm.
really dangerous, the work that they've been doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, that's who Sea Shepherd is. And so she was involved with them. And so, when she died, they put out a $25,000 reward for anybody that knew anything about her death. Nobody said shit. Nothing came forward. So several years later, they upped the ante to $50,000. Nothing. And they keep hoping if they put a little more money in the pot that somebody who has heard something will say something, right? Well, as of today, that number is now at $94,000, and still nobody has come forward with anything, and they're not
No,
going to.
they're not going to, because the people who do know are people in power who would be taken down by this because they were complicit in a murder. No one's going to talk.
Mm-mm.
I don't feel that this will ever be solved, which is really, really unfortunate and sad that they went to these lengths.
Yeah.
And that just the exploitation of, a place like St. Lucia was more important than this woman's life.
Yeah.
And honestly, more important than the lives of the wildlife that they're trying to capture. I'm
Mhm.
curious, do you know, did that dolphin thing, did it go forward? Did it open?
I don't know. That's a good
That would
question.
be worth checking. I'll bet it did. I'll
Mhm.
bet it did. I'll bet that after her death, there wasn't as much resistance. I would imagine
Mhm.
her sister, was afraid to get involved in anything more. But I really feel like she was a barrier that they took out. She was standing in the way of making that happen.
Yeah.
And they got rid of her so that they could.
Mhm. Yep. It did.
Mhm.
It did, and then it closed.
Oh, good.
So it did go forward for a certain amount of time, and now it's gone.
Wow. Well, it doesn't surprise me that it opened. I suspected that it would, because I really think she was single-handedly standing in the way of that project
Yeah.
and lost her life for it, which is just, I'm sorry. I just hate this case because that makes me so angry.
Yeah.
And it makes me
Well,
angry that there will never be any justice for her.
yeah.
The person who killed her, the people who ordered that hit, the people who knew about it,
Mhm.
the officials who quashed the police investigation, I mean, there's so many people complicit in this, and it
Yeah.
makes me really sad that there won't be any justice.
Yeah.
in
Yep.
that situation for her. That just was so wrong.
Absolutely. And she was a straight up badass, you
She was.
know? She
Yeah.
was fighting for what she believed in. Oh, she was also owned a restaurant. She was well known in that community for being, a philanthropist, for taking good care of her community. She was
Yeah.
an amazing person.
Yeah. She certainly did not deserve this.
No. Yep. Nope, she sure didn't. So, okay, just looking a little closer at this, I'm not sure. It looks like Dolphin Fantasies actually has multiple locations.
Mm, yeah.
I am not positive that they did actually end up opening one on St. Lucia or not.
Okay.
So I don't want to misspeak on that because I'm not entirely sure. They have had them
All
in
right.
other places, but yeah,
Sure.
associated with Sandals Resorts.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's yucky. That's
Hmm.
just not cool. I just don't understand the need to exploit animals like that. And obviously, neither did Jane.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Well, her work marches on for sure.
Yeah.
In the wake of her death, other people picked up the work of SLAPS, and other activists picked up the work, working on the captivity issues with dolphins and whales, and that work continues to soldier on.
It
There's
does,
a lot
actually. It's
more. Yeah, I mean, even now in 2020, there's a lot more awareness and activism on that front than there was in '03. So
yeah.
in some ways, I think she made her mark, her legacy marches on, but it is
Mhm.
extremely sad what happened to her, and my
Yeah.
heart breaks for her sister, you
Oh,
know?
yeah.
Obviously, they were best friends, they lived together, they worked together, they, you know,
Mhm.
were hooked at the hip, and what a horrible, horrible thing for her to have to go through as well.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah. Alrighty, well, thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
So, of course, we still have this week, we have our Wednesday night updates, and boy, do we have some updates for you
Oh my
guys.
goodness, we do.
Vallow
Be
case is the
prepared
gift
to
that
hear some Lori
yeah,
Vallow updates. I'm excited.
we've got some tea to spill. Holy
Mhm.
hell, that's the gift that keeps on giving.
It
For sure. And then, of course, we still have our Thursday night psychic hour. And lastly, if you haven't seen yet, we do have a new service here through YouTube. It is
Yes,
a
our membership.
subscription or a membership. Membership?
Yeah, membership.
I want to call it subscription. It's a membership.
I know, I do too.
And because many of you have, asked us if we teach classes, if we teach people, how to do, the psychic work that we do. Christy and I have been teaching metaphysical classes for more than 15 years. And so our membership service, you pay $14.99 a month, and that will let you into a guided imagery meditation or a guided meditation of some sort every month and two classes. So in addition to what we do on Patreon, of course, and this is its own thing. So we're really excited. You guys are already signing up right and left, and we're really excited to be able to bring more of the metaphysical world to you guys. So,
Yeah, and it'll be on
guys
live
are
stream, so you'll be able to interact and ask questions during the class.
mhm,
And, we're gonna find a lot of fun ways to work with this. This is kind of a new medium for us to teach on, but I'm excited about it. I can see,
mhm. Yep, it's going to
lots of
be
cool
great.
things happening.
Yeah. So thanks you guys for being a part of it.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, that's what we've got. Thanks for being here with us. This is True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.